Now, the world marks Suicide Prevention Day today, September the 10th. Every year around the world, more than 700,000 people commit suicide. In fact, every 40 seconds, someone somewhere takes their own life. That means right now, as we're talking, someone is or has committed suicide. Hence the need to have this conversation, the need to open up. And tonight on To The Point, we discuss suicide prevention. That conversation and the day's stories coming your way shortly, but first, the highlights. President Ruto wants to intervene in the ongoing leadership squabble in Meru County after months of conflict.
Makosa ile iko ni kidogo na inaweza kurekebishwa. So tutarekebisha mahali iko kidogo, mahali kuna makosa kidogo turekebishane.
Even as a vicious war of words by the same leaders play out right in front of him.
Ya kwamba Meru County haitatekwa nyara na makatero 10 ambao wanafikiria Meru iko na shida.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga threatens to mobilize nationwide protests once again if the current dialogues fail.
Simuko tayari.
But DP Gachagua will hear none of it.
Lakini ile agenda nimeona imewekwa pale kwa mazungumzo rais. We don't agree with it.
And on To The Point, we talk about a topic that's taboo and stigma-laden, suicide. And among our questions, is attempted suicide a crime or a cry for help? Welcome to the broadcast. We're glad you could join us. We invite you to engage with us on our social media handles at TV47 News on Twitter, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, and my handle on Twitter is at Grace Kuria KE. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. My name is Grace Kuria Kanja. Once again, welcome to the broadcast. Now, President William Ruto is championing an end to constant political intolerance and nasty disputes witnessed in the country, pointing out its cost to the country's development. The head of state responding to a public clash among Meru County leaders that played out in his presence during his visit to the area on Sunday. The president has since promised to begin his tolerance campaign with the opposing factions among Meru County leadership.
In attendance of an interdenominational church service in Lari, Meru County, President William Ruto found himself at the center of a firestorm in form of the local politics.
Hatuna nafasi ya kupoteza na kupigana. Tunataka tuungane, tushirikiane. Yule mkubwa ni yule atafanyia kazi wananchi kuliko mwenzake. Tafadhali, mimi nawaomba ndugu yangu viongozi, please. Nawaomba kwa heshima tushirikiane hivyo.
President Ruto calling for political tolerance not only in Meru County but across the country, calling on Kenyans to recognize the high cost of political intolerance to the country, especially in lost development opportunities.
Hii Kenya sisi ndio wenyewe, na tusingojee mtu mwingine ama tusitarajie watu wengine wakuje washughulike na mambo ya taifa letu la Kenya.
Hakuna maendeleo itaendelea kaunti hii kama mnapigana. Mimi ningetaka kuchukua nafasi hii leo nikiwa hapa kanisani, niulize viongozi wetu wa Meru tuweke kaunti ya Meru mbele.
The president's presence did not restrain the local leaders present at the function, with each successive speaker firing vicious salvos at each other.
Meru County haitatekwa nyara na makatero 10 ambao wanafikiria Meru iko na shida.
Sababu wewe ndiye gavana leo. Wewe kaeni chini na deputy gavana yako.
Tafadhali tukubali tuketi, hizo shida kidogo kidogo tutatue, tufanyie hii wa Meru kazi.
Makosa ile iko ni kidogo na inaweza kurekebishwa. So tutarekebisha mahali iko kidogo, mahali kuna makosa kidogo turekebishane.
All these leading President Ruto to promise to take charge in uniting leaders from Meru County this time round and ensure that the fiery political situation is controlled agreeably. Mwigi William, TV47.
Thank you, Moige William, for that. Now, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has threatened to lead his supporters back to the streets if the Kenya Kwanza government will not heed to demands laid down by the bipartisan committee on matters national importance. And as Mike Kagwango reports, the Kenya Kwanza coalition has now demanded that the bipartisan discussions agenda item regarding the auditing of the 2022 presidential election be dropped.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has threatened to mobilize Kenyans towards street protests, known as maandamano against Kenya Kwanza government, should the bipartisan talks fail to bear fruit for the second time. Speaking in Kisii County Sunday, the former premier maintained that the Azimio team are in the talks in good faith and called on the Kenya Kwanza team to stick to the initial agreements between the two sides.
Sababu tumeweka Kalonzo anaongoza timu na tutawapatia nafasi waongee vizuri, tupate suluhu ya kudumu kwa mambo hii tuko nazo. Simuko tayari? Simuko tayari?
Further calling the government to disburse county resources on time and give respective governors time to expedite their mandate.
Pesa zote zije hapa chini ili serikali ya county iweze kufanya nayo kazi sawa sawa.
However, according to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, the National Dialogue Committee's agenda should be revised to remove the audit of the 2022 presidential election results.
There is no constitutional provision for anybody to audit a general election. That audit was done by the Supreme Court and a decision was made, and you are declared validly elected and sworn in as the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Speaking during a church service in Lare, the DP affirmed that the Supreme Court has audited the 2022 presidential election and recognized William Ruto as the duly elected president.
On the 13th of September, you are sworn in as the President of the Republic of Kenya. You are doing a good job. Hakuna mtu nalalamika. Sasa ati kuenda tuanze kuongea mambo ya uchaguzi. Nyinyi mnataka tuongee mambo ya uchaguzi?
Kama lazima ikue, agenda number 1 inaweza wekwa kama weather. Wakikutana wanaulizana leo kuna jua, kunakaa kunyesha na maneno kama hayo. Maneno ya uongozi wa Kenya, tuko na kiongozi na ni rais wetu. Maneno ya kupunguza bei ya maisha, hiyo rais already unafanya.
The second in command advised the opposition to turn their attention to the following election cycle and added that he will be prepared to object to any aspect of the discussion that he terms as fatal errand. On the list of areas of contention, the Azimio team led by Kalonzo Musyoka have the high cost of living, the audit of the results of 2022 presidential election, the restructuring and reconstitution of the IEBC, measures to prevent interference with political parties, unresolved constitutional issues regarding governance, sufficient checks and balances, and the issues of boundaries delimitation. The Kenya Kwanza team, on the other hand, had set their terms for discussion on the topics of reorganization of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC, the application of 2/3 gender rule, the establishment and entrenchment of the Constituency Development Fund CDF, the establishment and entrenchment of the office of the Leader of the Opposition, and the embedding of the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, thank you so much, Mike Kagwango, for that. To Kenya's 4th largest city now, Nakuru, where environmentalists are flagging truckers along the Northern Transport Corridor, or A104, as the main culprits behind air pollution, even as authorities scale up awareness about ways of curbing air emissions for clean air and low respiratory tract infections among people. Let's get more from Chichi Josephine.
Over 20,000 youths in Nairobi County to TVET, you know what I mean? And so that's our big thing. We also, I also believe that for us to solve our problems, we have to really
Nakuru City is part of a major transit corridor to the interior of Kenya, East and Central Africa. The highway along the busy transport corridor, thousands of vehicles that use the route between 16,000 to 41,000 per day emit toxic fumes from their exhaust pipes, with scientists worried about the amount of carbon dioxide emitted into the Nakuru air every hour. Environmentalists in Nakuru, a city of over 300,000 residents, are pointing a finger of blame at truckers as the greatest contributors to the high air levels of air pollution in Nakuru.
The rate of pollution seems to be high, and some of the contributors seem to be lorries.
Researcher Otieno Opio noted that air quality determines the residents' health and well-being, and there is a need to increase more green spaces to help absorb carbon in the atmosphere.
We hope this will also create a platform of working together with various stakeholders in terms of spreading the gospel of air quality beyond scientists and practitioners, so that even a common citizen within Nakuru is able to understand what is air quality.
Nakuru County government has already installed 8 air pollution monitors within the city to measure the level of pollution. And according to the county's Director for Environment, Grace Karanja, this data helps the authorities plan their response.
With the Stockholm Institute and UNEP, we have been able to install 8 number air quality monitoring system in strategic positions, which will help us to guide us on the air quality within our city, and also will help us in the decision making on proper actions that will help us to combat those issues.
County Director for Meteorological Services Julius Kiama observed that the people most at risk of diseases emerging from the high emissions are residents in areas like Njoro, Molo, Rongai and Subukia.
A huge number also expresses interest in knowing more on the findings and what is happening in the environment, because when we quote some things like respiratory challenges and other breathing challenges affecting the community, they concur and they really confirm that it is true, that they have been getting those kind of illnesses from time to time.
This is happening against a worrying backdrop of a 2018-2022 survey that blames truckers applying the Northern Transport Corridor as the highest polluters of air at 22%. This important road network caters for close to 6 million people, approximately 10% of the total population of Kenya. Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Right, thank you, Chichi Josephine, for that. And as the youth continue to seek for jobs, Shining Hope for Communities, SHOFCO, has announced a plan to enroll 20,000 youths in Nairobi to TVET institutions, a move that will benefit unemployed youths, mainly those from poor backgrounds. Speaking at the Bomas of Kenya, where over 4,000 SHOFCO urban network delegates were electing their Nairobi County Executive Committee members, Dr. Kennedy Odede, SHOFCO founder and CEO, said the move will help address rising unemployment in the city, affirming that youths should be equipped with skills to ensure their ability to earn a living.
Youths in Nairobi County to TVET, you know what I mean? And so that's our big thing. We also, I also believe that for us to solve our problems, we have to really come together. For me, that's how we're going to solve our problems. That's how we're going to fight corruption. That's how we are able to bring our people from the down the pyramid to up. And that's how we can also fight tribalism. If you see here today, you will see Kikuyu, Luo, Muslim, Christians. You know, I am just so happy that it's their thing. They want to be part of development.
Governance must start from the bottom. Waelewe mambo ya kuchagua watu wao. Kuchagua wale watu watawasaidia. Kwa sababu kuwasaidia na kuwapatia handouts will not sustain them. Lakini hao wenyewe tukiwafundisha vile kuchagua viongozi wale watawasaidia, kwa sababu wanawarepresent. Hiyo ndo kazi kubwa tumekuja kufanya hapa. The right governance for the people at the bottom, na hivyo ndio nchi yetu itaendelea.
Right, and according to recent research findings, West Pokot County has emerged as one of the counties in the North Rift region at risk with the highest number of those suffering from tuberculosis, a disease caused by germs that are spread from person to person through the air. West Pokot locals are being urged to be more vigilant over the disease, with the West Pokot County Tuberculosis Coordinator Terrace lamenting that a big number of locals do not understand the dangers of the disease.
We have 40% of people that have TB that have not been diagnosed in Kenya because of those barriers that we are talking about, the community rights related barriers, gender related barriers, and also issues of legal and policy framework environment that causes this barrier. So if you look at it and also the kind of environment, you know, we have mining here in West Pokot, we have areas that have come out as issues of illicit brewing, then those barriers are affecting access to such services, and we keep missing on those population that we want to be diagnosed and to be enrolled on treatment immediately.
Pokot, ukiangalia ugonjwa wa TB ama kifua kikuu, tuko na wagonjwa kiasi. Katika counties za Kenya, tuko katika zile counties.
To Kakamega County now, where a man and his wife have died in a bizarre occurrence after lightning struck their home while the couple and their guests were in a moment of worship. The incident occurred at Musungu Village, Malava constituency, Kakamega County.
Villagers and church members of African Divine Church in Musungu Village, Malava constituency, Kakamega County are in deep mourning. This follows a chilling experience at the home of one of their congregants after they witnessed the death of a man and his wife identified as Mr. and Mrs. Nahashon when lightning struck their home in the presence of church members who had visited them for a prayer session.
Bila nilienda kuangalia nikapata rati imeua hao. Saa hiyo nikapika manuru. Woi watoto yangu wawili.
Ni mshangao tu bado hatujaelewa mambo ambayo yamefanyika.
As if to explain why the lives of the other faithfuls were spared, the late Nahashon's sister-in-law, Sarah Musamali, alleges that their death could have been as a result of wrangles caused by a debt that the couple owed one of the villagers.
Lakini alimpatia kama miezi 3, hiyo pesa afanye nini amrudishie, lakini hakuweza kumrudishia.
Pastor Timotheo Masinde of African Divine Church affirms that he and his church members had visited the family to accord them special prayers.
Kwa hiyo wakati ndipo rati ilipokuja na ikatuchapa sisi wote.
Mungai Peter Wanami, the member of County Assembly of Shirungu Ward in Malava, visited the home and vowed to lobby for the county and national government to install lightning arresters that will help avert such occurrences.
Waweke zile lightning arresters kwa sehemu ya ambayo ina mwinuko ili maafa kama haya yapata kuepukana.
Thank you, Linda Alela, for that report there. Let's move on to the world of sports. And South Sudan's national football team landed in the country Sunday afternoon, ready to take part in their friendly match against the national football team Harambee Stars, slated for Tuesday evening at the Kasarani Stadium. Now, both teams are preparing to take part in the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, as Harambee Stars won their first friendly match against Qatar, while South Sudan lost their respective match to Mali in the midweek. Speaking after landing at the JKIA, South Sudan striker Tito Okello stated that the friendly matches will enable them identify their mistakes and improve on them before taking part in competitive football. Consequently, Harambee Stars continued its training ahead of their friendly match at the Kasarani Annex.
It's a great feeling, you know, like we, the East African community, is always a great feeling. We always feel at home wherever we are. This is like another exercise. We got some few lessons from Mali's game, we picked them, and now we are here to correct it. So it's going to be a great game for us.